What is going on, all of you mortgage maniacs out there? I'm Thomas Meister, the loan officer's agent, and in this video, we have some brand new companies actually at the top of the weekly gainers and losers in the mortgage industry, mortgage companies, IMBs, banks, brokers. So I'm going to screen share here and we're going to go through it. I've also created a report that we every single week try and dial in a little bit more so that way I can show you very cleanly how many loan officers switch companies, who's going where and why. We can speculate a little bit. One of the things that we should, I'll share with you guys really quickly is if you are not subscribed to Redder, you should actually consider it. They do put out a newsletter every single week. Redder is the program that we're using right now to actually look at the data, right? Like there's a couple of different tools out there. Redder is one of my favorite by far in terms of the ability to look at things in a bit more of a unique way. So for example, and we're getting started now, this is actually the honorable mention for me of the week. If you look at this week's report, Home American Mortgage Corporation, I mean, they only had, well, that's their current LOs. So sorry, they had, well, minus 14. I think I hit that one. So they gained 14 LOs, right? That's a 23% increase in the amount of loan officers that they have. Now, remember, just because you gain loan officers doesn't mean that that leads to an increase in production. But this week it did. And it's quite substantial. So this got me thinking that there's another part of this that I need to include on a weekly basis. So tell me if you find value in this. But we'll kick things off here with our honorable mention of the week, which is Home American Mortgage Corporation, net gaining 17 loan officers for $870 million of annualized production. So we look at the $10 million producers every single week, and there's some big ones here, right? So CLM Mortgage, we're gonna get to that in a second. But CLM Mortgage, we have some huge $100 million producers, right? Like this is either a purchase or a buyout or a merger between companies, right? Because this is a substantial amount of production. So you got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 top producing loan originators coming in to Home American Mortgage this week. But one of the things we need to just quickly verify is, are these people, right? Because we're going to dive in the rabbit hole. I'm going to pick on 3 of them real quick. What kind of business are they doing? Just because you do a lot of business, is it likely to repeat and come with you, right? So you can see that this person who's out of Denver, all of their business is existing homes. So this is a builder, okay? Same thing here, right? So yes, great week for American, so Home American Mortgage. However, I actually decided to do a little bit of a, Google them, do a deep dive. And so essentially it is an IMB mortgage shop. And I went ahead and put together, just had ChatGPT, all right? Leverage, guys, using research to basically say of note what happened really this week, right? So CLM Mortgage appears to be integrating into Home American Mortgage under the same corporate umbrella, likely explains large migration of loan officers, okay? And then looks more like internal consolidation, right? Like than traditional acquisition. So just a little tease right there, an honorable mention of this week. But we're going to get into the 3 gainers for IMBs, brokers, and banks. And we're going to get into the losers, top 3. And so this is always every single week, just kind of a little bit of a dance just to find what's going on. But interesting to see somebody new at the top of the list this week, right? Right Star Mortgage Inc. Looks like they gained 21 loan officers. And so we're going to use their NMLS, pull them up, dive right in. Again, I'm a huge fan of Redder. I think that there are, again, nothing's perfect and to each their own. One size does not fit all. However, link in the description if you're interested in checking it out. Link will get you to where you can sign up and get this, get access. So big week for Right Start Mortgage. I think I said star earlier, sorry. So net gain of 17 LOs for $188 million, $189, $190 million annualized production. Okay, gaining 77 loan officers, likely a big move from somebody. Okay, so what we can tell from this is VIP Mortgage, obviously substantial presence here, right? Oh, by the way, sorry, my bad. Past week, got to fix that. That's why that was not right. So past week, they gained Right Star Mortgage 21 loan officers. My bad. Sorry. I just totally said the wrong thing because I was switching to that other company. So net gain of 21 loan officers, $170 million annualized production, okay? So it does, I mean, you saw that previously, and actually that's a good reminder, is that you can see trends if you focus on, okay, past week, what about the past month, quarter, and then the past year, right? You can really dive in and tell a lot. So it looks like there's a continuing trend from VIP Mortgage, some people coming here, right? So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, going to count this person, originators this week going to Right Start Mortgage. And, new or previously inactive, you have to, we'll jump into the rabbit hole right here. You have to click on them, obviously, and scroll down because that means there's a gap in their start date, right? So they came from VIP Mortgage, right? And so 2/28, and then they started on 3/2, okay? So that explains the gap. Just remember, we don't have time to dive into every rabbit hole here today. So if you want to do that in your own time, link in the description. All right, so how many, and losing one, did we lose anybody? No, so just somebody, that name looks familiar, but I don't, zero production. That doesn't, I don't know what that is. Okay. So that was our biggest gainer in terms of the amount of loan officers. But remember, just because you gain a lot of loan officers doesn't mean that production follows, right? Like you could gain a lot of loan officers, but lose a lot of production if you also have a bad week with people leaving. Past week, huge week for New Res. New Res does a lot of refinance business, right? They are an IMB. However, let's see what kind of business these people do. So 20 net gain of 20 loan officers, $388 million annualized production. And let's see, Freedom Mortgage. Okay, so Freedom Mortgage is a servicer. So right off the bat, like these are either loan officers doing servicing or something's kind of happening here. I'm not going to dive in the rabbit hole. Well, I'll do one of them. Right, we'll dive in the rabbit hole here on Kevin, the biggest one. Yeah, all refinances. So if he, to me, this is not purchase-based referral business, right? Like this is given to you by a company and you're either a servicer or doing refis, not likely to repeat, right? So obviously a big week for New Res, but not probably in the traditional sense or way that we look at every single week. Mutual of Omaha, I'm going to pull them up, but they're kind of for sure the same deal. So I'm not even going to probably speak on this. Except maybe just dive into one of their people. First State, looks like a bunch of new people from First State. Oh, someone coming over from being a broker. Interesting. Oh, no. Okay. So the first couple of things you always want to look at. So Mutual of Omaha does have some purchase-based loan originators, and you can tell here by, okay, so it's not dominated by refi or new build, and they have a strong realtor referral list, right? So the number of deals that they get from real estate agents. So this guy, Joshua, actually a really good pickup. So you know what? Okay. I was not going to give it to them, but I probably should. And again, like it's not purchase business, all of it, right? Like, but it's okay, right? This data is for you to kind of interpret what that means, right? Like most people would not consider Mutual of Omaha competition, right? Or a worthy rival in a lot of ways. So, but some of them are, okay? So net gain of 18 loan officers, $146 million annualized production. All right. So now guaranteed rate coming in at number 3 or 4, depending on how you count it, 17 loan originators. And remember, guaranteed rate has a family of companies. So some of those Origin Point and guaranteed rate affinity. There's another one. Who am I forgetting? KBHS home loans. Those all come on up under their own NMLS, right? So this is Citywide Home Mortgage, Proper Rate, and some others. So good week. Not fantastic, but good for a guaranteed rate. Gaining 17 loan officers for almost $40 million annualized production. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 loan originators coming in. $10 million plus producers coming into guaranteed rate. And then a big one leaving First Colony Mortgage, but 1, 2. And 2 bigger producers, one going to Loan Depot. 2 bigger producers leaving guaranteed rate in the last week. All right. But let's move on to brokers, okay? And again, if you let me know if you think that this is cool and I should actually email this out, if this would be like a kind of cool subscription thing that you got this report as well every like maybe Tuesday evenings or Wednesday mornings in your inbox. All right. So first up this week, Nexta, right? One of the biggest IMBs in the country and picking up a substantial amount of LOs. But one of the things we've seen over the past week is these numbers really dynamic because brokers tend to pick up a lot of licenses. Doesn't always mean, or I should say, these types of brokers, right? Like some of the, especially the big ones, right? There are a lot of really good brokers, especially because I know some of them. Some of them are my friends. And, you know, you don't see them even on this list because they just, you know, they pick up quality people and they're not trying to grow like at a crazy rapid pace. But, you know, let's see. Doesn't always mean it's bad, right? Okay, so gaining 53 loan officers, losing 27, net gain 26 for, you know, good week for Nexa. 38, almost $40 million of annualized production. So if we look at the gain of 53, one, two, three $10 million plus producers coming in, and a substantial amount of other smaller producers coming in, and then losing one $10 million plus producer. Okay, and so this is another trend I've noticed this past week, is there's a lot, like week over week since we started this beginning of the year, I've noticed a lot more brokers going to broker. That's like a very common trend. I feel like last year, 2025, I've referenced this before, there's kind of like, there was a value gap. And I think that in the absence of value, a lot of people were like, dude, I'm not getting a lot like for what I'm paying for, right? In commission split. And so they're like, I'm just going to go be a broker or go someplace else. And I think that it's died down substantially, like people going from IMBs to brokers, but it's not like it's not still happening. You've watched this video every single week and you'll see what's happening. So let's move on to the next one, Barrett Financial Group. I guess, so UWM doesn't count, all right, because they're a wholesaler. So we've got Barrett as technically like the biggest broker in the country right now. And that's if you look at the data that way, right? I'm going to show you something here in a second. We talked about this in a previous episode, but great week for Barrett Financial. Net gain of 19 loan originators for $137 million annualized production. You can see they brought in 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 $10 million plus producers. Let's see, from other brokers, another broker, cross country. I don't know, 0 Point Mortgage, and a bank. Okay. And then who'd they lose? They lost one $10 million plus producer, Renovation Finance. Don't know who that is. Makes me think it's a broker. Okay. So good week for Barrett. So one of the things, and again, I'm not going to do this for everybody, but when you click on it, is if you look at this column right here for 25 plus, right? It's almost like I've actually looked at this for some companies where it's, literally the exact same number right here, 335 or whatever it is for that company. It's 15% of the company does at least 2 deals a month. Depending on your market, that's like kind of standard. A lot of people even think that, right? Like you have to close at least 1 loan a month if it's a bigger market, right? Like bigger loan amounts, right? But a lot of people are like, okay, what about people who are closing at least 2 loans a month? So this is pretty low compared to a lot of other companies, even some of the bigger companies like a Cross Country or a Fairway. But even some of the brokers that are smaller technically in the amount, right, and count of people, but there's more people there doing more business. But just wanted to make an observation for you guys. I don't like to throw shade at anybody unless they deserve it. And so I'm trying to meet with multiple companies just to actually get a lay of the land for who has, because I represent a lot of clients, right? Like my client is a loan officer, right? If somebody's interested in learning about other models and what else is out there, again, I'm the sports agent for loan originators. It's my job to make sure that they understand and see all the options so that they make a confident decision about what they need, right? Whether that's going to the broker side or meeting another IMB or banks, right? There's some good banks out there as well. So pulling up our number 3 broker for the week, West Capital Lending. So a good week for West Capital Lending, 13 loan originators, $37 million annualized production. However, something we've noticed in a lot of the trends, because this company does a lot of HELOCs, home equity lines of credit, equity, refi versus purchase. A number of these people, I don't know if it's going to repeat all the time. I look at this and I wonder to myself, so this person came from NewRez, right? Like, sure, I'll dive into the rabbit hole on one person, pick on one person. But this is the other guy from before. My bad, Jeffrey, right? Yes, sorry, Jeff. So you can see here, it's purchase-based. It's mostly existing loans, not new builds. Oh, but he hasn't originated for a number of months, and he doesn't have a lot of solid realtors, like literally all one-offs, like no loyalty. So, and not no loyalty because it could be like a team, right? Like multiple people on a team sending him one deal. And Redder's not perfect. No system is. It could be a little bit wrong. But as a barometer, right? Like as a compass, I wouldn't say this is likely to repeat unless this person is handed a lot of business like he was previously at NewRez. Okay. So my opinion, and I'm allowed to have it. Okay. Moving on to banks. Not usually, every single week, there's usually not like a ton that we want to pay attention to here, because banks like JP Morgan, last week we looked at Huntington National, okay, just to like give a bank a good look, because I have some good friends. I have some friends who are 100% referral-based purchase loan originators at Huntington National Bank. However, most people at Huntington aren't. So I'm going to give, I'm just not going to dive into this on a weekly basis, right? Like I do look at this myself, but not during this series. I want to do that. But one of the companies that operates And so this is where I need your help. Quickly leave a note in the comments if you notice any of these companies and you know that they're more, as a company, right, their DNA is more purchase referral based, because I want to make sure that I'm trying to find and highlight those people. So I track this in my handy dandy Excel that does some conditional formatting for me. So we're going to pull them up and see. A good week, right, for Cornerstone Capital Bank, which I am told, I don't actually know anyone there, so I'm going to raise my hand and be honest, right? Ask for some grace. I'm told they're a lot more of a referral-based purchase bank. Okay, wow. So they acquired a bank, or this bank, like I would imagine they bought it, right? So the reason they're having a good week this week, but how far back does it go actually? Because this maybe it's not the first, like let's look at the past month. Some other people. No, looks like it actually so this happened this past week. That they picked up that 9 million. So interesting stuff there. But that's one of our, I don't see another bank. Like let's scroll down, because again, they picked up 20 loan officers. If we scroll down, okay, like Gateway, one, not gonna, okay, this isn't, so we're now switching to losers. Okay, so we're gonna go in reverse order with banks and work our way to through brokers and IMBs. So biggest losers on the bank side, if we see anyone that we know. So the first would be Prime Lending. Sure, we'll pull that up, and then maybe one of the other banks just to give it a fair shake. So this, okay, not a good week for Prime Lending. Net loss of 3 originators for loss of $32 million annualized production. Oh, are we on a streak this week? This week we're actually on a streak. None of the companies we've looked at who gained actually lost, and this is the first loser who actually lost production, right? Because sometimes that's not always true, but this week, let's see if we make it to the end. I think this would be the first week that held completely true. So who came? One originator who doesn't do 10 million, literally did probably one loan. And they lost 2 $10 million plus producers. One of them went to First Western Trust Bank. The other one's inactive. We can't, I mean, maybe they went to the same company, maybe not. I doubt it. Doesn't look like there's probably a big move or play happening there necessarily. So is there anybody else that we want to pick on? Not pick on. Well, yes, we're picking on somebody. Right? Literally, if we're putting this out into the universe, then obviously more people see this and it draws attention. No, I don't really see any other company banks we're going to dive into on this, right? So let's scroll up here in the report to, because I have it hide any company. Oh, good point. I changed some of the criteria for this. To reduce it and kind of make it easier and cleaner, if they don't have at least 10 loan originators, and if they don't do at least $50 million of annualized production, I'm hiding them currently in this report. So they're here, but I'm hiding them just because there's a lot more banks, as you can see, right? Because this data isn't present, but on the bank side, it is. Let's look at the losers for brokers. Loan Factory, I feel like has been on the bottom a number of times, and they're also the biggest loser for this week. So let's dive in and have a peek at Loan Factory, because that's a pretty big loss right there. Of how many again? 7. I'm going to guess. My guess right now that they got rid of a bunch of smaller producers. Like they're just laying off licenses. Okay. Yes. Because if you only lose $4 million of annualized production, but you got rid of 131 licenses and added 32, right? So technically, bad week for Loan Factory, down 100 loan officers, only $4 million, right? So technically not. So really it's a flat. Really this is a flat week, because you gained 1, 2, 3, $10 million plus producers. Okay, but you lost 3, 2, 3. 1, 2. I was right. You lost 2 $10 million plus producers. So flat week. All right, Loan Factory technically on the bottom because again they lost the most, but okay. Groves Capital. I know this name. I've heard this name before, so I'm curious. Even though they're not very big, they're $205 million mortgage broker. Groves Capital. I'm going to put it up. San Diego, California is where they're based out of. So okay, they culled a bunch of licenses as well, right? Got rid of, because it's actually, I'll consider that still flat, right? So you gained 5, okay, like a small producer, and you lost. So did gain any, right? $10 million plus producers. That's just a negative. So literally a flat week there. So I'm seeing a theme here. We're seeing a theme of brokers getting rid of a lot of non-producing licenses. They pick them up, and they probably do that because it's like, hey, can you be a rising star in your market if you just had better rates? Could that help you win more? Some people, maybe that is the answer, right? This is an online, I think they buy leads, right? Like I don't really know a lot of purchase-based loan originators here, but not a good week for Hoot Home. I just said Hoot. That'd be funny if their logo or thing was an owl, actually. Let's look at a bigger one because we're gonna otherwise not have time to get through anything else. Okay, U Mortgage didn't lose. They only lost 2 people, but okay, since they're the next biggest one, we're gonna put you up on the board to see what happened. It's a flat week. Okay, you didn't gain anybody, but you lost 2 people, and they're obviously smaller because you only lost $6.3 million. All right, so I would say that the brokers actually had like kind of a flat week. There's not like a ton of that happening. All right, so now we're on to IMBs, usually where it's the most fun and there's a lot of movement, right? So Rocket doesn't count, and CLM, we already saw that. Likely they are a builder, right? Like, and got acquired. So United Fidelity Corp. Well, they're kind of small, right? So small. This is the first billion-dollar company. Oh, that's interesting. So Absolute Home Mortgage dominated like the past month because they brought on a huge group that in, all said and done, probably close to $1 billion of production from lower.com. But this week losing 13 loan originators. Why? And where'd they go? Did they go back to lower? You hear about that all the time where people are like, oh, they left, but then it was terrible and they came back. I don't know. I have friends there, but I don't know Absolute Home Mortgage intimately. But, $25 million, not a good week, right? So Absolute Home Mortgage losing 13 loan originators for $25 million of annualized production. They gained 2, and those people didn't do anything, so they lost 15. And it all's inactive. Well, you don't know. So we don't know where this person went to because their license hasn't moved yet. But let's do this. Let's quickly open the only $10 million plus producer, and we're going to see where did they come from previously and how long were they at the company, okay? Because that would be telling. Okay, so they were at NewFed before, not lower. Okay. This person's been here for 3 years, right? Decided that they're moving on, and their license hasn't gone active yet, so we don't know. We don't know where they went. Not bad. So that's that's flat, right? Security National Mortgage, $2 billion, so a little bit bigger. Net loss of 10 loan originators in the past week. Let's see it. Is it continuing with our trend? It is. Okay, so not a good week, right? Net loss of 10 originators for $18 million annualized production, gaining one $10 million plus producer coming from a bank, Huntington, and then losing, really it's from one big producer leaving the company, right? So one bigger producer, $22 million leaving and going to, I don't even know who that was because I don't know them. Who was it? AML Funding. By the way, it's fun because when you look at some of these things, if you don't know, like Arclatech, that's a benchmark, right? I think it's T2 Financial, right? That's Revolution Mortgage because they have these DBA names. So if you don't know, it's always fun because you get to play a little game and figure out who's who. So Royal United Mortgage, no. New American Funding, that's big, right? That's the biggest so far, and we're going to end on them. So New American Funding losing 10 originators this week, but let's see if they stay with the trend or no. Wow. Okay, and this is why it's really cool to look at this on a weekly basis because numbers matter, right? And by the way, these numbers are not consistent in the report. I'm leaving them there because it's a good barometer of like, the previous week to the current week, but you can see that there's actually an increase, right? And so when you look at this, if I was to say different, can I do difference right here? I can't, right? So let's just do it here. Equals, we're going to do this minus this. It should be $41 million of annualized production, right? That should be the swing in the past week, except that data can change, right? Like closings can appear for originators from the past, right? Because the data just wasn't present, right? So it could have been from a month ago, 60 days ago. And so it's not reliable because companies' data on other people is changing, right? This number is not, right? The number of originators that a company gains or loses, because it is what it is. But their production is not reliable. Like if you looked at this, hey, we'll do it real quick. We're going to look at Rocket right after this to see, because if you apply the same logic that we just did with New American Funding, then you should look at this and say, okay, this minus this. They should lose, right? $624 million of annualized production. Oh, I'm sorry. And I just read that backwards. So New American Funding should gain $41 million of annualized production. Okay. Gain 41 million, right? And Rocket's supposed to lose it, right? So let's see. No. In the past week, New American Funding losing net loss of 10 originators, but net gain of $280 million of annualized production. Okay. So gaining 33 loan officers, a big one coming from, okay, we got to look at that, right? Because I'm just super curious now. Oh, and wow, there's a lot of people coming into New American Funding this past week. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're going to pick on a number of them, okay? 2 from Summit. I could sort, you can't sort this by came from. Like if you click this, it'll switch them all. We'll do that real quick, right? So you can kind of see, okay, 2 people from Better, and then Movement and Summit, but the rest are inactive. So if we sort again by, I guess, units, and now let's look. We're going to look at these people. Whoa, okay. So this person's a refi person. Where'd they come from? Because there's a gap in their license, but where'd they come from? Deep Blue Mortgage. I do not know who that is. And they were there, they were only there, they weren't even there a year, or they were only there a month. Oh, so they came from Freedom Mortgage. So they're from a servicer. Okay, so this person's coming into their servicing. New American has a servicing wholesale group? I think they do, yeah. This other person, same thing, refis and HELOCs. And this other person, all refis. So, okay, no, I'm going to renege on what I said. That, you know, this is not that fantastic of a week, really. Let's look at John, and because, I mean, if you're coming from Better, oh no, same thing. So they're not heavy in, they don't have a lot of like strong realtors, partners. I'm gonna say it's a flat week. I don't know. Well, let's look at losses. Losing 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 if we count that person. $10 million plus producers, and number going to Loan Depot. So there's and you can see some of these smaller people too. So there's a group that just left New American Funding going to Loan Depot, and I don't know. I'm gonna say it's a flat week because I'm not gonna super dive into the numbers to check that out. So we're gonna end with Rocket, just because I need to validate one piece of data, right? Every single week, this is always a journey and fun for me. I love me a good Excel spreadsheet to see what's happening, okay? So based on the data, they should have lost $624 million of annualized production, but in the last week, they lost $1 billion. It's huge, okay? Again, this is not like super relevant news because it's Rocket. Now, Rocket does have some purchase-based loan originators, so we'll look. Let's look. We don't want to miss anything, right? They only gained 2 $10 million plus producers, and they lost 74, so it's a net loss of 44. And these people going all over the place, most inactive. I wonder why. I mean, again, like you probably know why, right? Like, let's look at this person going to cross country, and let's look at this person going to inactive, right? A $41 million producer. So this person, for $45 million of annualized production, you should have more realtors like sending you consistent business. I mean, how much of this is one-offs? Okay, yeah. So coming from Rocket, going to cross country, I don't think that this is likely to produce this. This isn't going to repeat, right? And a good way to do this is if you just switch this to like 6 months, okay, and you double it. Oh, that's the same. But what about last 3 months? So if you took the last 3 months and then you multiply it by 4, right? Maybe this person will do, and we're missing February and March, right? So obviously because of a transition, so that's not really fair. So if I do the last 6 months and treat it as 4 and multiply it by 3, right? Yeah, I mean, it's some huge months, right? End of the year, like some huge big months in there. I don't know. I don't think it's likely to repeat because that's just not usually the consistent theme that we find. Okay. If you got some value from this week's report, please consider subscribing to the channel. If you made it this far, thank you again. I would love some feedback for you guys because perfect doesn't exist. The pursuit of better is how we should live. And I always want to try and find ways to deliver more value, especially because in an industry that changes on a weekly basis. And none of us have a crystal ball. What is going to, the reason that we work for companies, is that going to be true in 2, 3, 4, 5 years? And we don't know. So to be frank, water the grass where you have it. Water your own grass and don't focus on other people's grass unless there's a chronic issue, I say, right? Problems you will always have with you, okay? But if this indecision is a decision, right? Like if a company is not making the right decisions, then again, there's no harm in looking around, especially going on a couple dates every once in a while. So I am happy to do that for any of you guys. If you wanted to, a couple times a year, just talk to somebody else that I would recommend. I'm happy to set that up for you. But thank you again for watching this video, and I'll see you in the next one. Have a great week.